The movie opens on a luxury yacht with a group of wealthy men drinking beer and having a good time. One of them is Wallace, a clever financial specialist who is continuously seeking to stunt others for his own advantage. He stays behind and orders more beers after everyone leaves. But right when the waitress Vicky approaches him, Wallace unexpectedly begins to twist and turn. Then his bones start cracking in a terrifying manner. Wallace's scream seems for help, but Vicky is just as confused as he is. There is no one else on the yacht beside them, and it appears as though he is being tortured by an invisible force. The girl is horrified to learn that Wallace's hands and legs have been split in half. Audrey and Nathan, two detectives, arrive on the scene to conduct an investigation after some time. They quickly realize that they are dealing with something dangerous when they examine Wallace, who is unconscious. According to the forensics doctor, all of Wallace's appendages were broken at exactly 90 degrees. When Audrey goes through Wallace's body, she discovers a strange black substance because she is completely baffled by the incident. No one is aware of its nature or origin. Captain Richards, the rich yacht owner, is the next subject of the detective's inquiries. He specifies that Wallace had a ton of foes in view of his cleverness disposition, yet there was nobody on the deck with the exception of the server when the occurrence happened. Richards further makes sense that his yacht is one of the most sumptuous ones around with state-of-the-art innovation, so a mechanical glitch is all the way impossible. The detectives head to Vicky, who is still in shock after his interrogation is over. Her father Alec and life partner Jimmy are additionally there. Alec reveals that he also works on the yacht and was in the maintenance room at the time of the incident. Jimmy, on the other hand, is of the opinion that something supernatural is to blame. The detectives learn shortly thereafter that another man has been brutally murdered. As if he had been measured and cut with a scale, they find his body shredded into perfectly aligned pieces when they arrive at the scene. Joe Santamaro, a dishonest and impolite real estate agent, is identified as the victim by one of the police officers on the scene. He was working normally in his office when something suddenly took control of him and made him scream in pain. Joe was already dismembered and lifeless when assistance arrived. The detectives are baffled by this, and Audrey discovers the black substance once more when she goes to check on the office. Because both of the victims were scumbags, Detective Nathan comes to the conclusion that the person responsible for both murders is the same person. Additionally, he believes that the killer is employing some kind of telekinesis in his actions. Yet again in the meantime, we discover that Alec was in the nearness when the homicide occurred. The detectives yell at him and demand an explanation because they believe he is responsible for the murder. Alec reveals with nervousness that he had tried to sell Joe's house by visiting him, but the deal fell through. To test whether he is coming clean, Audrey begins reviling at him, trusting that he will utilize his supernatural power on her and uncover himself. However, he only expresses his frustration and does nothing, indicating that he is not to blame. The lab results finally surface in the following scene, and it is shown that the black substance is charcoal. Sketch pencils use the same kind of charcoal as this one does. With this sign, the criminal investigators head to the nearby writing material to explore. Nathan approaches the proprietor of the shop and inquires if anyone has recently purchased charcoal pencils. The lady specifies that many individuals purchase those consistently, making it difficult to track down the guilty party. The detectives leave the store in dismay and begin naming potential suspects. Because Jimmy, Vicky's fiancé, also works on the yacht and is frequently mistreated by the wealthy man, Audrey suspects that he is behind it. It's possible that he is using his voodoo magic to exact revenge on all of them. Despite Nathan's disbelief, he makes the decision to assist Audrey in questioning the boy. Afterward, the two approach the yacht while a sharpshooter ignores them in a good way. The latter has been instructed to shoot Jimmy right away if he begins using his telekinetic abilities soon. The criminal investigators start the cross-examination and solicitation Jimmy to genuinely tell anything he is familiar with the killings. "You've been purchasing pencils recently, you piece of poo." He concurs, but just as he is about to speak, he experiences a sharp pain in his face. Then, at that point, a frightful sound beginning coming from inside his body, very much like the one Wallace made before he was broken 50. The next instant, Jimmy loses his eyes and mouth, shocking the detective standing next to him. This demonstrates that even he isn't the executioner, or perhaps that he purchased erasers, all things considered. Jimmy is seen later receiving treatment at the police station. He is still alive at this time, despite his critical condition. Notwithstanding, that's what Audrey knows. Whether they don't get the executioner, more individuals will kick the bucket soon. As a result, she makes it her life's work to nab him and kick his arse. The detectives finally decide to question the final person connected to the yacht, Vicky, after some time has passed. She also teaches art, so she frequently purchases charcoal pencils from the stationery store. Nathan and Audrey show up external her homeroom and solicitation a moment with her. However, Vicky doesn't want anything to do with them and seems afraid. Additionally, she accidentally discloses that her father has been missing for 2 days. She shuts the door on them and walks away, despite the detectives' attempts to persuade her to provide more details. Nathan and Audrey decide to break into her house to look for clues because they have no other options. They are taken aback when they get to the garage and see hundreds of sketches and paintings all over the floor and on the wall. A large number of them have been ripped off. It is evident that all of the sketches were removed in haste. The detectives are frightened when an inside vase breaks. Nathan says that because all the windows are closed, it is impossible for Audrey to believe that the wind was to blame. Audrey suggests that perhaps you farted. Then, as they go through the house, Audrey comes across a sketch of Nathan. When she playfully taps on it, Nathan is thrown away and slammed against the wall. This is a shocking discovery. Finally, this reveals how the attacks and murders are carried out. Or perhaps Nathan merely farted once more. Audrey deduces that the folding of Wallace's sketch probably caused his bones to break. Joe's sketch was shredded, resulting in his entire body breaking up. Additionally, an eraser was used to remove Jimmy's face. In the interim, Nathan gets a sketch from the floor, which ends up being of the very jar that was obliterated before. He goes on to explain that this magic affects not only people but also things. After that, it becomes clear that Nathan had unintentionally stepped on the sketch earlier, resulting in the vase breaking into pieces. Nathan then draws a greater penis onto his sketch. Wallace regains consciousness in the following scene, and the detective immediately questions him for answers. Even though he is tired, Wallace says that he doesn't have many enemies, but Captain Richards is the only one who could put him in this situation. This is due to the fact that he owed him an enormous $3 million. Audrey is shocked when Wallace responds that Joe, the other victim, was a close friend of Richards and asks if they are related. He was actually the group of friends' personal real estate agent. Suddenly, one of Audrey's juniors calls to inform her that Vicky has been spotted near the beach. As a result, the detectives arrive at the scene quickly and discover Vicky sketching again. This time, she is cautiously drawing an estate, which is situated right close to the ocean side. Vicky tries to act like she doesn't know anything, despite Nathan's furious questioning. She breaks down, however, and finally admits that she is doing all of this to save her father as the detectives continue to coerce her. It turns out that the mastermind behind this is Captain Richards. He has taken her father hostage and is using her magic wands to exact vengeance on everyone who has betrayed him. Nathan inquisitively asks how he got to know about her representations, to which she answers that her life partner gladly enlightened him concerning them. Vicky goes on to say that Richards has instructed her to draw the villa at the moment. He cautioned her to submit it by 5 p.m., or, in all likelihood, he would kill her dad. Hearing this, Audrey comes to an obvious conclusion. Lastly, understands that Richards needed the cash from Wallace so he could purchase the estate. At the point when the last option couldn't give the assets, he was gone ruthlessly. Joe, on the other hand, was killed because he was unable to obtain Wallace's preferred villa. In the meantime, Vicky claims that she attempted to kill Richards with a new sketch, but that only the first one worked. Richards keeps all of her sketches in his yacht at the moment. Even worse, he has a sketch of Kings Point, a hilltop town where the entire city is visible. A massive earthquake will strike the city if Richard even slightly crushes it. Duke, a wine smuggler, meets Richards at the yacht with some of his finest collection. Duke is instructed to store the wine in his cellar by the latter, who is impressed right away. The detectives arrive at the same time and confront Richards for all of his crimes. He pretends to be innocent at first, saying that he only sells fish, but Richards becomes enraged when the detectives list his entire operation. He then threatens to cut the citywide sketch in half as he pulls it out. Right when maybe all trust is lost, Richard out of nowhere gets hit by an imperceptible power, making him drop the sketch. Duke surprises everyone by emerging from the cellar carrying Richard's original sketch. It turns out that Audrey had hired him to carry out the operation because he is a close friend of hers. After days apart, Vicky's father and the rescuers finally meet. In the interim, Richard's sketch falls into the ocean and starts getting wet, making water emerge from his face. Nathan rushes to bring it out, yet it is past the point of no return. Richards also dies horribly when the sketch falls into the water. We see that Vicky has rescheduled her fiancé's face in the final scene, and he is doing well. The mystery of the city's death has been solved, but no one knows how the sketches were able to work so magically. Despite this, Vicky promises that she will never again purchase charcoal pencils. Turn on notifications, subscribe for more videos like this one, and like the channel to support it. I appreciate your attention.